Hello, welcome to Diary of a Creator. So today I wanted to chat about a surefire way to not get what you want, basically, and it is about creating conditions and expectations. So this, for me, has been by far the biggest slap in the face on this process to understanding manifestation and how to actually create from our heart, because I wasn't actually aware of just how many conditions and expectations I had been putting in place. It was only when a mentor along this journey pointed it out to me. It was actually mind blowing because I had no idea. I wasn't catching my language, and this has been my biggest downfall area, which is why I want to touch on it because it is a sneaky one. But the clues are in our language. And I do have to still catch myself on this also as well, because this is the way our egoic mind will work. But conditions and expectations sound something like, I must get this by X time. I can't do that without this first. So thinking money, I can't do that without money first. It's not possible to have this unless this is in place, but I need to get this first and then I can do this. I must have X amount of this or it hasn't succeeded. Now, this is a mix of creating goals for what we want based on very defined conditions and expectations, but equally it's how we go about sensing what is possible for us. The main thing to notice here is the suppositions. I can't, I should, I need to, I must. These are the language of the ego mind. They are all conditional and they are ultimately fear-based. It is this very language that keeps us trapped. It keeps us trapped in fear and the egoic mind, because the egoic mind is always going to be looking for evidence. It's trying to create a process for how you will get what you want. And in order to do that, it needs to highlight all of the risks involved, the ways that you can't based on how it might not have happened for you before. And the moment you go into process in this way, you will engage your ego. And it's really all about logic from your knowledge bank of what you've known about the past and what you've seen other people do. And then our mind will create conditions and expectations around that. And this is really the trap, because what the ego will tend to do, so say you've created this amazing heart-led vision, which I did, and then my ego started to sneakily claw back the excitement and the energy and the intensity of what I wanted. And it started to put how it must happen, when it must happen. If it didn't happen by then I had failed. If it didn't happen this way, then I had failed. Control, 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 control. That is all this is. It's trying to gain control of a process that you don't actually have control over. Because here's the truth, you cannot create from your heart out of fear. It simply won't work. You will create, but you will create more of what you've already had before. And you cannot control the process either. That also won't work. It actually will start taking you further away from what you want. And the biggest part of creating and manifesting from the heart, and the hardest one for me to actually receive and to settle in, is you must set your vision based on tuning into your heart and what you actually want, taking away all the conditions, all the expectations. Then you must settle in to receiving how versus forcing how. As I said, this has been I'm still working on this, because honestly, we're coming out of our ego way of working. And I really have fallen hard on my face on this one, because I thought I was creating and manifesting. But when I go back and I didn't get what I want, and I'll go through an example of that, I thought I was, but I really wasn't. There was a couple of dynamics at play. I'm going to focus in on the conditions and expectations. It wasn't the only way that I didn't go through it properly. But back in January, there was a challenge that I ran. And in the lead up to this challenge is where I really had started enacting these principles, or at least I thought I was. And I created the vision for what I wanted. I had it in my mind, the vision. I didn't have a lot of energy around it now in hindsight, but the vision I had was very specific and almost forced. I don't believe it actually came from my heart. But I actually saw a platform with numbers, which, like, hello, that's so conditional on expectations. But I had okay, I need X amount of people to sign up. I must have 4 people come through to the program. Otherwise, I've failed. I will show up online every day. I'm going to measure the sign in every day. If I don't hit this, the program has failed, basically. And so I kept going to this vision every day. I kept checking with my tarot cards to see if it was going to come true, which is another way how I wasn't creating, because I wasn't actually believing it was coming through, for another topic. But most of my energy during this period was on bringing people in, creating systems, promoting. All of what I was doing had been taught to me, and the numbers are very important. The systems are very important, but there was a key factor missing in how I had created my vision, because it wasn't heart-led, it was conditional and expectations. And so none of those figures were hit. I went into a bit of meltdown. I was like, oh my God, I can't create. This program sucks. And it really took me a while to work out where I had gone wrong. And there were really many aspects to it, but the conditions and the expectations was the biggest piece. And it wasn't until processing this and moving through it and working with a mentor that I realized just how conditional I had set this. And I also was so removed from my heart by the end. I was completely fear-based. So it's no wonder I didn't hit it. My vision, without me realizing it, had actually become all about control and process, and I'd lost the heart. And yes, we need process, but when you are a creator and a manifester and going from the heart, you need to define your end goal through your heart and your intuition, and the process will follow with that. But what we can tend to do is allow the how to overcome the why. And this is where we start losing it, and we start actually creating what we do not want to take, which is exactly what happened, but it was a learning process. And so it really all boils down to listening to what is true for you, getting so acutely aware of your egoic pattern, which will just like slowly start to creep in and gain control, and you won't even realize it or pick it up. And these are the moments we need to watch, is this tension again of where the ego will come in even though you think you're being heart-led, but it's really trying to, and it will claw at the how. It's always the how in the process for how you go about getting what you want. But the thing to know with the heart and the creation process, it is often a very unpaved and scary path. And this is why our ego will come up and be like, listen, bitch, like, this is really scary. I'm just going to start trying to get us back to some safety and crawl back some control in this process. But that's where we go wrong, unfortunately. So, yeah, so in terms of my advice for this one, watch out for the suppositions. So if you have a vision in your mind, or perhaps you don't, either way, draw observation to all of these words: the can't, should, need to, must. Watch out for them. They are a telltale sign that your ego is currently driving your choices. That is how you know. The other way is the control. Whenever we need to clutch and control on anything in the how, you've gone into your ego. And so that's what I would invite you to do, is just observe that and see what comes of it, because you will probably come to realize that you are far more conditional and you place a lot more expectations on things that you didn't even realize until you actually observe it and start pointing out. Particularly the should, like, that word should just be banned from any vocabulary. If you have a should on anything, you are not following your heart. It's as simple as that.